This is Kerrigan & Company. You know, folks, I've known the College Hype team for more than 20 years. They're a local screen print and embroidery company servicing the New England area and beyond. Now, what makes the team so special is that they have more than 35 years of experience and they do all the work in-house. I love their tagline, making a difference one t-shirt at a time. Speaking from experience, I know that is the truth. Learn more at collegehype.com. Hey everybody, it's me, Kim, coming up on Kerrigan & Company. Get ready to laugh. We've got an actor and comedian that you're going to love. This is Kerrigan & Company.
Kerrigan & Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan & Company is here for you.
Welcome everybody to this edition of Kerrigan & Company. So glad that you could be with us. All right, grab hold of your side because you're going to laugh yourself right through. My co-host, Jimmy Dunn, comedian and actor, is here with me. It
Hello.
is so great to have you.
Thank you for having me here.
Are you kidding?
I've always dreamed that my success would someday bring me to a podcast under the staircase at the Garden.
Come on,
And here we are.
Really?
No, we were walking around going, where? Oh, it's right there.
I know, it is so funny because I tell people, now if you go under the escalators,
Yeah.
and if you go through the doors, you've gone too far.
Yeah, but
and
there's
you
six
see
sets of
people, they're
escalators.
backing up, back and forth, back and
Well, there's
forth.
6 sets of escalators. We were in the other escalator going, it's out front. Of course it's out. It's got to be awkward, though, if people are just going by.
Well,
what are they talking
I gotta
about?
tell
We're
you
talking about
something.
you, buddy.
This particular day, we are shooting 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
So I was here doing one earlier when you weren't here, and I looked up, and there was a woman literally, this is glass in front of us, literally had her face smashed against her nose, had the toaster thing going on,
Yeah.
and she was smashed against the thing. I thought, oh boy,
Yeah.
oh boy, yeah, it's
You get all types in Boston.
you're fish in the bowl here, that's for sure. How you doing? I'm
good.
so sorry that life's going so badly for you.
Life's good right now. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm busy.
You are busy.
It's always a good thing to be.
Absolutely.
As a comedian. And,
You bet.
I just had a great weekend up in New Hampshire doing a bunch of theater shows up there, and hopefully it keeps going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was looking at, you've got a full slate, so
Yeah.
lots of shows, and we'll talk more about where some of those are and where folks can see you. But you also have a reoccurring role
Yeah.
on the reboot of Frasier.
Yeah.
I was one of the biggest Frasier fans first time around and
Yeah.
thrilled that this reboot was coming. I have seen every episode, love it.
Awesome.
It has really turned out great.
It's really great, right?
It is really good.
People hear reboot and they go, oh, they're rehashing something, but it's actually really, really great. And the number one reason is Kelsey Grammer is phenomenal at what he does, and he just is that character so well. And then he's developed this team of writers over the years, and there are new writers too, but they know how to write to that character. He is just an absolute pro, and he's directing them all. And the episodes that I've been in have either been directed by Kelsey Grammer or Jim Burrows.
Oh my gosh, darn. That's
I
terrible,
think
right?
those guys know what they're doing.
I think they
So even
certainly
when I
do.
don't know what I'm doing, which is most of the time, they, hey, Moose.
Well, that's not true though. I
Well-
mean, this is not your first rodeo when it comes
It's
to
not.
TV either.
It's not. It's my second really big thing.
Yeah.
The McCarthy's was the first big one, and that was great. And in the McCarthy's, I played a character who used to be a basketball star in high school, had since let himself go, and now enjoys sandwiches more than he enjoys basketball, but still relives the glory days.
Yep.
Chubby and dim. Those were the words in the description of the character when I got the audition.
Oh, that's tough.
And here's the best part. That came across a desk in Boston, right? And the casting agency in Boston read chubby and dim former athlete and went, well, you got to call Jimmy. And thank God she did. Thank you, Melissa. And that one
Listen,
was.
If they know your name, you don't
Yeah.
care how you got there, right?
No,
Doesn't
no,
make
no.
any
It's-
difference
and-
with
and-
the adjectives.
But here's the best part. I played Chubby and Dim so well that when they were looking for a Chubby and Dim firefighter for Frasier,
Frasier.
the casting director in L.A. went, what about that kid from Boston? And
I love it. I
here
love
we
it.
are.
Yeah, so let's go back to this for just a second. The
Yeah.
reboot, for those of you who have not seen it, Frasier has moved back to Boston.
Yes.
He's had a few stops since Seattle. He's gone to Chicago, and he's had a TV show and whatever. He's come back, and what I love about this reboot, and this was so smart, I think, is that they didn't actually take every character and try to move it back. They brought a few characters back in, but built a new life for him, and that's where you come in.
Well,
because
that's where
you're
I come
here in Boston.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's his third act of his life, and he has decided that he has to do right by his son, and he has to go find his son. He left his son in Boston at Harvard.
Yep.
Well, since then, his son left Harvard and became a Boston firefighter, and he's a really good, really smart firefighter. And his best friend is a really good firefighter, but not so smart about anything else.
Moose.
And that's Moose.
Yeah.
And that's me, and I get to
so
play.
great.
So I play his son's buddy in the firehouse, and yeah, it is. It's really cool that it came all the way full circle back to Boston.
Absolutely.
And when the first season, when we were taping it, I couldn't tell anybody. We all had to keep it secret because they didn't want the word getting out that he was coming back to Boston. They didn't want to give away that storyline until
Sure.
they started marketing the show.
Sure.
So I was out in L.A., and all my friends were like, "Where's Jimmy? What is he doing?" And everybody was trying to guess what it was.
That's
and
so
nobody ever would have guessed it was
No, no,
Frasier.
right. A reboot of Frasier, which is so great.
Yeah, it's
so
really
you
cool.
go to LA to do it.
I do, yeah.
Season 2 has dropped.
Yep.
What is there a season 3 in the works?
I sure hope so. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you guys kind of hanging tight.
Well, they'll put out 2, and then the people will decide if they want more. I know Kelsey's on record as saying, "I'll do another 10 seasons if they'll have me." And
Yeah.
he's still got it. It's still really good.
Yeah.
There's so much of that classic Frasier, that French farce kind of thing that they do so well.
Yes.
And I was a monster Cheers fan, as everybody else in this city was.
Well, right.
I never would have imagined that
Someday-
character was going to get spun off, and someday I'm going to be walking into a bar.
Wow.
Yeah,
Isn't that the truth? I hadn't even really stopped to think about that. To me, Frasier is such a character that I forget that he really was a spinoff from Cheers,
Hello,
for goodness
Sam.
sakes. Exactly.
I'll tell
Which
you.
Lilith, that's where
Lilith,
he came to know her.
I did an episode with her, and she was awesome.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. I don't want to embarrass her because she's sitting over there. Don't put her on camera. But the first episode that I got to do, I rehearsed. I got the audition. I got the show. Oh my God, we're going to L.A. to do this, and then we rehearse all week. And then my first scene is I literally walk into a bar
Yes.
with Kelsey Grammer. So they're warming up the audience as they do because it's halfway through the taping thing, and they're playing music to keep the audience hyped up, and they play Shipping Up to Boston, and then they play the theme to Cheers, right? And I'm like, oh, my heart's coming out of my
I
chest.
bet.
Going, this is the coolest, right? I look out at my wife who's sitting in the front row. She got a tear.
Right, I would have been too.
But not now. I'm like, honey, pull it together. I can't do this right now because I'm going, oh, no, come on. It was just an
It
absolute
is.
amazing
It
moment that I
is.
never could have seen coming.
It is.
And when I first went out to Hollywood many, many years ago, my goal was to be a television sitcom writer. And I was taking writing classes at UCLA,
Yeah.
and we would study Frasier scripts because
Wow.
they were so well written. And that's what everybody aspired to be. Everybody thought they were going to, and I knew what I do well, and that's not so smart comedy. And so I was like, I'm never going to write a Frasier. I'm writing a Men Behaving Badly or, something silly like that. So,
Yeah.
but that just came so full
Oh,
circle.
it's fantastic.
Yeah,
well,
it's pretty cool.
congratulations. I
Thanks.
could not be more thrilled for you.
Thanks.
And it's a really good show. It's
really
on Paramount
is.
Plus, and if you haven't seen it, folks, be sure you get Paramount and you watch the show because
And
it's really fun.
it's $6.
Yeah.
Look at me. If
Please.
I haven't given you,
He
in
needs
30
listen.
years in Boston, I haven't given you $6 worth of entertainment.
And he needs a new hat, for goodness sakes.
Love
Come
this
on,
hat.
come on. All right, let's talk about the hat.
This is just
This has become, obviously, this is your trademark.
Well, it's not really. You know what happened?
No, I think
we
it
went
is.
to. Yeah, maybe it is. We went to L.A. I got to do the Conan show, and I'm such a Boston guy. My uncles.
Another Boston guy, by the way, right?
My uncles were all bookies. They all wore the scally caps, and I like that look. And I used to wear the scally cap, and my wife would go, and she'd look at all. And every time I put a hat on in a hat store, she'd go, no, no, no. And then we did Conan, and we walked by this hat store, and we went in, and I put this hat on, this same style, this exact same one. And she goes, I don't hate it. And I go, quick, ring it up before she changes her mind. And that was it. And I just like wearing the hat on stage.
I
think
love it.
It sort of fits the character.
Oh, well, and you know what? I got to tell you, I think having a trademark is a smart thing.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're just a smart marketer.
I don't know about that. It's a different world for me. I mean, I'm trying. I'm hustling, but I do old school marketing. I go on the radio to sell comedy shows. It's the internet world is I do my best. I put my video clips out there like everybody else. I also use the Instagram to kind of share my life
Good.
and come along and have fun. And 90% of it, if I'm being honest, is sandwiches that I'm about to eat.
Yeah.
People love seeing what I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange? Isn't the world strange?
I'll post a picture with me and Kelsey Grammer, and I'll get 50 likes. I'll post a sandwich of a
You want a peanut butter
a
jelly?
no, a roast beef sandwich from up on the North Shore with all kinds of sauce on it, and they go, oh, yeah, 3,000 likes, and you're going viral. It's a sandwich.
So tell me what you like better, or is there even a comparison? The live stage, or would you rather be, doing the sitcoms?
Oh, sitcoms all day long.
Would you?
It's the coolest job in show business.
Yeah, yeah.
I have told jokes in Elks clubs. I've told jokes I've told jokes in this building here.
Sure.
I've told jokes on the largest cruise ship in the world, Letterman, Conan. But when you're telling jokes that someone else wrote, you get to put a little sauce on it. It's 300 people in a studio. There's 3 or 4 cameras on you, and you hold that, and you get that laugh, and you know that that's going in the Frasier world forever.
Right. Yeah.
It's if you ever get to LA and you just want to be a tourist, go take in a taping of any kind of live sitcom. Mm-hmm. It's a dying art, although some say it's coming back, but it's just the coolest experience, and that's the coolest laugh in the world.
Good for you.
That's just I got one where Kelsey's here and BB Newith is here. And I'm in the middle doing my thing, and the audience laughs, and I'm like, this is
so great.
Incredible. Yeah.
Lenny Clark has been a guest here. Christine
Love
Hurley's
Lenny.
been a great
Love
guest
Christine.
here. Asked both of them, I'm going to ask you, what's funny?
What's funny? That's a good question. Well, I mean, there's science to funny, but really funny, if you break a joke down, is misdirection. It's the old Three Stooges. Look, you get them looking over here, and you send them somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I think that the gift that I have, that Lenny has, that Christine has, any good comic has, I think that gift is we look at the world and we see something differently than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I look at stuff and go, how can I make that funny? What's funny about that? And I can tell that story in a funny way. And everybody learns it a different way. You can learn it in school. You can learn it in the back of the clubs like Lenny did. I mean, I learned it watching Lenny and Gav and Tony V and the Boston guys. But I really learned it from my dad. My dad was a house painter, and they would sit down at the end of the day, and they'd have a couple beers, and they'd start telling stories.
Sure.
Right? And I heard these stories 1,000 times, and they keep getting exaggerated and exaggerated. Mm-hmm. My Uncle Sully, who was a bookie, was the best storyteller I ever met. And
that's a joke right there. My Uncle Sully, who was a bookie.
Yeah. You want to boss a podcast? I got a story. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but my dad's blue collar friends would do the same thing around a campfire, and as a little kid, I would just take it in, and oh, here comes the story about the snowmobile that he flipped again. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I knew it was coming, but when I started to find my way in the back of the club and see Ken Rogerson and Tony V and these guys that are now my comedy heroes, when I saw them doing that, they were doing the same thing. The only difference was they were getting paid. There were lines down the street.
Yeah.
They were meeting women. They were getting free dinner. And I just went, I want in on this circus.
Right. I want to do
That was
this.
it. I want to do this. And I saw those guys at that time. And it was, the early 90s when the whole thing was blowing up around here. They were lining up for 5 shows, 5 in the snow at Stitch's Comedy Club that my buddy Harry ran. And, and 6 months later, I'm standing there going, can I get on the open mic?
I got to tell you, for me, a really great comic is somebody who does exactly what you just said. Takes something that I do every single day and makes it funny.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. I think anybody can be sort of raunchy and you can get a laugh.
Yeah.
But if you can take an everyday something and you can laugh,
It's gotta
make
be
people
relatable.
laff. Right.
It's gotta be relatable.
It's just really, to me,
That's
it's
why the
great.
great sitcoms they have such a, they have the bar. They have that grounded thing where it's the father-son relationship.
Yep.
Everybody loves Raymond. There's one that everybody watches that sitcom and goes, oh, that's my family.
Absolutely.
Did it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're doing it really well, and
Thank you.
I'm so thrilled you're here. This is really, really fun. We're going to talk more about the schedule and all of that
Okay.
coming up a little bit later, but we've got a couple of guests who are going to join us. I hope that's going to be okay with you. Of
course.
We're going to find out about some secrets around Boston. That's
I got a
pretty
few
cool.
of those.
That's our fear. And and then we're also going to talk to the publisher of a magazine that we're going to work really hard to try to get Jimmy into. So before this is all said and done, our efforts will be full press.
When the reboot of Frasier first came out, I was on the cover of the New York Times art section. That's a long way
And
from
now
a Blackburn Tavern.
I was just going to say, and here I am trying to push to get you in this magazine. Are you kidding?
I'm in. I'll take any press, any cover.
Jimmy Dunn is keeping me company today, everybody, and you're listening and watching Kerrigan and Company. You know, folks, I've known the College Hype team for more than 20 years. They're a local screen print and embroidery company servicing the New England area and beyond. Now, what makes the team so special is that they have more than 35 years of experience and they do all the work in-house. I love their tagline, making a difference one t-shirt at a time. Speaking from experience, I know that is the truth. Learn more at collegehype.com.
Don't miss America's oldest fair, the Topsfield Fair, October 4th through October 14th. See the full lineup of free shows and exhibits at topsfieldfair.org. Free concerts, fun, rides, and fantastic food, all at the Topsfield Fair.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan and Company, presented by A&B Burgers. So good to have you with us for this edition. And keeping me company today is Jimmy Dunn. Of course, he's an actor and he is a comedian. I'm actually calling you actor first.
I know, that's amazing to me. That's, well. Wow. I mean,
This is how we're selling you to the magazine.
cool.
So I got to say, he's an actor and
And a big fan of A&B Burgers.
a big fan of A&B Burger. There you go. Well,
Quality
then
burger.
They appreciate that for sure. Hey, I'm looking forward to this. Our next guest
Yes.
is a writer who has written a really cool, I want to show this to everybody, book, Secret Boston. This is Kiernan Schmidt. And Kiernan, this book is full of things in Boston that you may not know or that you pass every single day and you've never thought about, well, why is that actually there? And I think you're going to be shocked. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for having me.
What made you decide you would do this?
So the Secret series is by a publisher that they have a ton in Europe, but they're just starting to write them for the U.S. And so I lived in London for a brief time, and I used their guidebook to explore London, and then moved back to New York. And they do have one in New York. And then I had the publisher on my travel podcast, and I pitched him. I said, but you should really get to Boston. And he said, well, if you really think that, why don't you just write it? And so that's how it came to be.
Wow.
I love stories of people just going, hey, you should do this. No, you do it. All right. I love that, man. That's
what it
awesome.
was.
That's really cool.
Well, and you jumped on it. Good for you.
Well, then COVID hit, and everything closed in the
Yeah.
book. But now it's all reopened.
So I think you've now answered my question, which is how long did it take you? Because you had to research all of this stuff.
Yeah, I think that first conversation was in early 2020. So it was about 4 years, and there was a big pause in the middle.
Yeah,
I also had 2 kids in the middle, so that slowed down the process.
Oh, Lord, it's amazing that you've done it. I'm really, really impressed. So you broke the city down into different areas. So it's like central Boston, East Boston. Help me, I've forgotten Cambridge.
Well, the majority are are what I'm describing as Greater Boston. Majority are Boston, Cambridge, and Somerville, but then it goes as far out as Medford, Lincoln. There's 1 or 2 sites around.
Okay. Anything up with Jimmy and I are North Shore people. Anything north of the city?
Let's see, North Shore.
You didn't get into the fried clam wars, did you?
No. We've got up.
Already
I mean,
trouble
up
there.
in that direction would be the Deer Island digestive eggs, which you can pour, and it's basically where the city sanitation
yeah,
goes
sure,
on.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want to wash your clothes afterwards, but it's a great tour.
I'm not sure we want to send tourists there necessarily, but all right. So we chose, the book is full of really fun facts and really cool stuff, but we had to choose a few because obviously we can't go through every single one. So I'm going to start with one that I think is fascinating. I don't know, Jimmy, if you are aware of this, but at Fenway Park, there is a singular red seat.
What do you mean, am I aware of this? Do you happen to know that you're speaking to the first host of fanatic on Nesson. Do I know this? I had Chinese food in that seat.
Were
I-
you
I used
supposed to?
No, I used to have. I had a pass to Fenway back in the day when I worked at Nesson, so I know a lot of secrets about Fenway Park, including that wall might not be as far out as they say it is.
Wow, that might be the second edition
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, right.
of the
Which there
book.
will be. People are already pitching me.
Oh, I got 100 of them.
That's who that is.
We
Excellent.
could do a whole chapter on my Uncle Sully.
Which is a secret. So
No,
tell
I know
everybody
all
what
about
the
the
red.
Reds.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tell them what the
Okay,
red
so
seat is.
the red seat, it's section 42, row 37, seat 21. I'm
Okay.
sure you could.
Let me translate that for you. It's out in the bleachers, kid.
Yeah, that's right. And they used to be, at the time that this happened in 1946, they were actually just bleacher seats. Those fancy seats weren't
Okay.
there.
Yep.
And Ted Williams hit a homer, 502 feet, and it hit a construction worker who was sitting in the stands right there, named Joe Bosher. And Bosher was wearing a straw boater hat, like in The Music Man. Actually, not unlike what you're sporting today.
All right.
And it put a hole straight through the hat. And so in the book, I found this historic photo that I don't think's been reprinted since that time.
Really?
Where he's sticking his fingers up through the hole.
Oh, yeah.
And he went on to complain to the Boston Daily Globe that he didn't get to keep the ball. He was not a happy camper about this. No serious injury, though.
No,
Well-
well, I'll tell you why I wasn't a happy camper. He was out there working, and the ball hit him, and it woke him up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Andrew Jackson.
Yes.
There is half of Andrew Jackson's face
That's right. Yes.
in a statue
Yes.
at the Constitution Museum.
That's right. So Old Ironsides, the USS Constitution, we all know. But when you buy tickets to go on the tour of the ship, there's a small museum you can wait on and browse. And they've actually expanded it a lot in the past few years, so it's quite a nice experience. But there's this one really strange exhibit, and it's Andrew Jackson's head. And it's this odd plaster mold, but then this wooden mouth and chin. And the story was, in the 1830s, they added an Andrew Jackson figurehead to the front of the Constitution. And to the moneyed classes of Boston, this was hearsay, because Jackson was, for the people.
Yeah.
And so this brave 28-year-old who was sympathetic to that cause waited until there was a thunderstorm at night, rowed across the harbor, shimmied 25 feet up into the air onto the front of the Constitution, took a hacksaw and hacked off the head of Andrew Jackson. And he was trying to do the whole head, but he actually just did below the nose. So he took the original head, he actually brought it to Washington, D.C. to try to give it to the president. Ended up with the Secretary of the Navy. And Secretary of
Crazy,
Defense,
right?
rather. And so, a century goes by, and this head has been rediscovered. Actually, the full figurehead and the head are in the Museum of the City of New York. But the lips and the mouth were found by the PBS show The History Detectives just a couple years ago.
Wow.
And
Isn't that crazy?
They brought them down to the original figurehead in New York, and they matched it perfectly. And I'm proud to say that Andrew Jackson's lips live here in Boston.
Amazing. How is that not a Ben Affleck movie?
No kidding. The search for the
Yeah,
lips.
that's such
He's
a
got the
Boston
hair
movie.
for it.
We're
Jackson has
stealing the
great
lips,
hair.
kid. We're stealing the lips.
All right,
love
let's go to the Franklin Park Zoo.
Okay.
Okay, and there's that thing with the bears. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
So Franklin Park is a huge city park, over 500 acres.
Yeah.
And it was a Frederick Law Olmsted Park, so beautifully
Mm-hmm.
laid out. And in 1912, they opened a zoo there, and it was a huge tourist attraction of the day. In 1920, they had 20 million visitors. Just to give you
Wow.
zoos were, big games back then.
Yeah.
And they had on display black bears, grizzly bears, and polar bears. And when the zoo was shut down in the 1970s, they just left the enclosures to molder away. So you can go up into this forested, hilly area and walk in these really spare and depressing cement enclosures with iron bars. But what weirdly is still there is this beautiful sculpture on the wall of two gigantic bears holding the seal of the city of Boston. And, you know, it's got graffiti around it that's not protected in any way, but it's this great, weird treasure.
Wow.
Why don't they take that out of there and put that somewhere? That should be over in City Hall.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of romantic just to have it there and let the searchers go and
Yeah.
find it.
How many people you think have gone up there and partied around?
I think a lot. I think a lot. Based on the detritus around,
Yeah.
I would say quite a lot.
We're going to party with the Bears.
Yeah, exactly. We had a conversation off air about the fact that there's the Fluff Festival in Somerville. That is included. And I said to Kieran, now, you know, Somerville claims that that's where Fluff is from, but Lynn says that that's where Fluff is from.
That's right.
And now you have the answer to
Well,
this.
I'm not going to take a firm stance. I'm just reporting the history here. But from what I understand, the original recipe was developed in Somerville and then sold to some enterprising young men in Lynn. But regardless, what's featured in the book is
That's
that
not a new
It's
story, by the way.
By the way,
Sold to
smush-
some people in
Right.
Lynn.
By the way,
This
it's
couldn't be
smushed
more
up
Boston.
marshmallow, by the way. I could have come up with that recipe.
Yeah,
anyway,
but
Yeah.
right?
you didn't. But you
That's the
did.
problem.
Well, and I will say that Fluff Festival takes place every September. It just passed in Somerville,
Yep.
so you have to put it on the calendar for
Yeah, for
next,
next
year.
year.
It's been rained out 2 different years, but they still hold it, and the fluff holds up even in the wet.
Yeah.
That's so
It'll
fun.
hold up forever.
And then there's also a debate over telephones. Okay, so tell this.
Yeah, okay. So did you guys know that the telephone was invented in Boston?
No.
Okay, see, I feel like
I
You
know
weren't
that, I know
around,
that
Jimmy?
mine doesn't work in most of the city. Still.
I just feel like other cities, if they had that claim to fame, there'd be shot glasses with telephones, hats with
Yeah,
telephones.
I think there is something at the airport when you come in, right?
Oh, is
I think there
probably
is.
a
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in Boston in 1876, but there's 2 different places that claim to be the home of the first telephone. The first is right outside the JFK building in Government Center. There's a
Okay.
little plaque, and it has like a model of what that telephone looked like, and that's where his lab was. And the truth is that that's where sound first went across a wire. He boinged a spring, and it went boing, and they could hear it across. But at night, he and his assistant Watson would pack it all up and bring it to their boarding house on Exeter Street. And on Exeter Street, there's another plaque that denotes that's where they actually heard a voice across. So Alexander Graham Bell said, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you."
Yeah.
And I will say the plaque, when they put it up, Alexander Graham Bell went to that ceremony, so that kind of suggests he felt that had the claim to fame. And they do say on it it's the first place where a comprehensible, complete sentence was set across a wire. So very
that's kind of
specific.
fun. Yeah, that's fair, I think, probably.
But I think we get
right?
to claim it twice, which I think is a great an honor.
And then 6 months later, the conversation on that phone was, "Give me 600 on Cleveland."
Yeah.
Was that Sully?
Uncle Sully.
Finally, we've got time for one more, and it's a Viking statue.
Sure. Okay, the Viking statue. So anyone who's been over near Fenway along the Commonwealth Mall has probably driven by and not noticed as you're getting onto Stroh Drive. There's a tall Viking kind of staring off towards the horizon. And the writing on the statue's in runes, and they have this big Viking boat below it. And it's just like, why is this thing here? And the story is very, very strange. It was put there in 1887. In the 1880s, there was a Harvard chemistry professor whose name was Eben Norton Horsford, one of those great Boston Brahmin names. And Professor Horsford made millions because he patented baking powder. So he had money to spend. And his passion project was trying to prove that Columbus did not discover America. He, along with a lot of the, again, moneyed classes at the time, didn't like this kind of influx of Catholicism and Irish and Italian immigrants coming into the city. And so he claimed to have found this hidden history that the Vikings came and discovered Boston and founded a civilization here.
So he just made up a story.
He made up a story, and it was bought into by many people at the time. He paid to have that statue put up. It's Leif Erikson, and There are vestiges on the boathouses on the Charles. If you go and you look at some of the decoration on them, at the World Trade Center too, there are Viking boats that are represented, and this all comes from this fake history.
Wow.
And in fact, even behind Mount Auburn Hospital, between the hospital and the Charles, there's another plaque that Horsford put down that claims, well, yeah, and this is where they built their houses. No historical significant, like no actual facts here. But why let that stop you?
That's it. That's it.
And the
Don't let
statue's
facts get in
still
the
up,
way.
which is the
Yes,
nuttiest
It's
thing.
amazing. Yeah,
I mean, it is a
still
handsome
stands
statue.
there.
And I say that as an Irish Catholic, so.
Yeah, a guy named Kieran. That's it.
Exactly, Kieran Patrick even.
The book is Secret Boston. Where can folks get hold of this? Because this is really
if you
fun.
like independent bookstores, bookshop.org. If
Great.
you like big conglomerates, Amazon. And all the local bookstores have it. Harvard Bookstore, Porter Square Books. It's all around.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
It's
Thanks for having me on.
so fun. You do another edition. You better not do 4 years. You got to do it sooner.
I don't know. I'll say the first 50 were easy. The last 100, you really start diving into the archives.
I'll bet you do.
I got some for you
There you go. We'll
might give you a
pair you
list.
guys
Secret
up.
Sully.
when we get off. The story of Uncle Sully. Oh.
Kieran Schmidt, thank you very, very much.
Thanks so much.
All right. You're listening to Kerrigan and Company. The holiday season is just around the corner. Before all those family gatherings and holiday parties, you'll want to spruce up your home. Let me suggest that you start with updating your lighting. It can make all the difference when you're entertaining. The folks at Lucia Lighting Design in Lynn can help you achieve the perfect atmosphere, whether it's soft, welcoming lighting in the dining room or a workstation in the kitchen. Owner Lucy Dearborn and her team can make suggestions and guide you through the process. If you can imagine it, the experts at Lucia Lighting Design can make your dreams come true. Learn more at lucialighting.com. That's lucialighting.com. It's back. America's oldest fair, the Topsfield Fair, is back, October the 4th to the 14th. There's something for everyone at the Topsfield Fair. See the giant pumpkin, hold a baby chick, or pet a calf. Check out the thousands of contests entries in all of the agriculture buildings, or have some fun in the midway with all the games and rides. And of course, enjoy the delicious fair food. Save time at the gate by ordering your tickets now at topsfieldfair.org. That's topsfieldfair.org.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spice, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum, which is smooth and sweet with a warm roasted coffee flavor, a hint of vanilla, and a decadent buttery finish. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to us by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Get tickets to Titanic the Musical, playing October 29th through the 10th of November at nsmt.org. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan and Company, brought to us by A&B Burger. Great to have you along today. Keeping me company is actor and comedian Jimmy Dunn, and we've been having a really good time. That segment on the book was so cool, huh?
I'm really impressed by that. I
was
love that he
too.
just pitched it. He did it, and he's got the stories. And some of those, I mean, I walk by, like he said, I walk by that stuff all the time.
I mean, honestly, you got to take your book with you.
Yeah.
And, if you get out, you kind of look it up real quick and see, and there's a story behind it.
It's a cool idea.
It is. It's a really great idea. Now, listen, speaking of which, talk about good idea. Sitting in front of us here are some editions of a magazine that is now being put out here in Boston. It's called Boston Man. It should have been called Boston Woman, but that's all right, I guess. I guess you men have to have your due. And joining us is the publisher and the owner, and he says, and he does everything else as well. This is Matt Roboto, and it's good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be on the show.
It's great. How old is Boston Man?
So it'll be 6 years this month.
Wow.
Yep. October 18th will be the 6-year anniversary.
Yep.
And it's but 2+ of those years were a pandemic. So I
Yeah.
just feel like I'm kind of
Well,
like the Groundhog Day. Like
yeah.
you're still a startup. You're the hamster running in the wheel at times. But
What was the impetus behind it?
so I love how you introduced with the started with the Boston man, Boston woman. So it's not a it's a men's magazine in the sense that I'm a man, but everything I'm Boston man. So everything in that publication is the beauty of the city as through my eyes. So the stories, like the I approve every story. I obviously give my writers. I'm a big believer in freedom of speech and allowing my writers to write about what they be able to express themselves the way they want to. But every story in there, I sign off on, and it's honestly I truly believe Boston is the greatest city on earth, and this publication reflects the city through my eyes.
Works for me.
That's the Boston man title.
Well,
You can't get more Boston than putting Pete on the cover there, man.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I went, oh yeah, I want to read this.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. The Ice
obviously
Bucket
very-
Challenge.
Yeah.
Very special issue, and that was the president of Pete's Family Foundation, Mike Pitt, came to me and he was just like, we'd love for you for the 10-year anniversary of the Ice Bucket Challenge. We'd love for your publication to be the one to kind of kick it off, launch it, tell the story, get things in motion for. That came out at end of May, so kind of like to get things in motion with everything that.
So the
that's
magazine,
happened over the last few months.
it's quarterly, and it's both online and obviously in print, which is fantastic. It takes a lot to print a glossy like
book.
this.
A book.
Yeah. So talk about that. I mean, you said you are the owner and you're the publisher and you're a lot of things. Who are the folks who are contributing to this?
So it's taken me. I feel like there was a couple questions in there. So it's taken me a little while to get to that. My first issue was definitely a lot thinner. I went a little more glossier, and then it finally toyed around with the page count, what I wanted the look and feel to be. But the idea is I want this to be timeless. I want this to be something that people at the end of the month or at the end of the quote unquote media cycle, they don't throw it out. They hold on to it. I noticed when you opened it up, you kind of like opened it up and almost like instinctively you take it and you put your nose to it, you smell it. It's meant to have that nostalgia.
I don't know if I smelled it, but go ahead.
But like a souvenir program. Like
I know
we're
what you're
here at the
saying.
Garden. Like
Yeah.
when you buy the Celtics
it's legit.
program, when you
Yeah,
buy
it's
like
legit.
that, it's meant to have that same feel.
Yeah.
It's also meant to be like, the type of journalism that we grew up on. Like I remember growing up as a kid, like Thursday was magazine delivery day. I would get off the school bus, go to the mailbox. I'd have all my magazines, Rolling Stone, The Source, Sports Illustrated, everything. And I would just get lost. I would go out and like just read, and you would just get fall in love with the story. Hours would go by and you're just sitting there reading, you're reading. It's this, the paradigm shift of this being like, 500 words or you're dead is like, that's not true journalism to me. And we do have stuff in there. We do have some columns that are the quick hits, the pretty pictures, the visual grabs, but it's the art of storytelling and telling those timeless stories and having something that people will hold on to. That's what motivates me.
So where do you find people that write those?
So it's honestly at this point they sort of come to me.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
I've been able to when you do things or you at least try to do things the right way, you draw the right attraction. And I mean Bob Ryan came out of retirement to write for us.
Really?
Yeah, he was. It's and you know what the draw was. It was that it's an actual print publication that's
B, it's Boston.
and I don't limit his word count.
Yeah, he can say whatever he
I
wants.
let the greatest sports storyteller
Yeah.
of all time
Yeah.
tell the story the way he wants to.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. man.
So I got to tell you, I'm kind of familiar with the journalism world, and I'm really familiar with the magazine world.
You're a legend in the journalism world.
And I'm familiar with the magazine world because I have a daughter who just graduated from Syracuse with a degree in magazine journalism. It's a tough world. And it's amazing to me that 6 years ago you decided at that point that you would take a stab at this. And it is obviously working. So obviously you believe in a magazine. You believe in being able to hold it. You believe in that.
So I do,
Yeah.
and I think it starts with that. You have to have passion and purpose. The days of just selling ads to be able to fund a publication like this are. I'm not saying it can't be done, but you definitely have to tweak the model. And I'm still working on the financial model. Like I don't claim to have all the answers. But a big thing of what we are, what we do, who we are is we have. The magazine comes with what's our Legacy Club networking community. Our members pay an annual fee to have access to a private event once a month. They're allowed to bring guests, and that helps helps fund the magazine,
Sure.
fund the operation as well.
See, it's those kinds of innovative ideas that save things like this. That's
Yeah.
what you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to think a little bit differently to make a publication like this roll. And so that's really fantastic.
One of our members, it's he had said to me about a year ago, like he's in his late 50s. His daughter is in her late 20s. They're both members, and he's just like, Matt, he's like, at 40 years old, you're in a unique spot where you can bridge the gaps with generations. He's like, I look at you and talk to you as a friend. My daughter looks at you and talks to you as a friend. He's like, you're in a spot where you can take what's worked in the past and massage it into what's working now, or
Right.
what people and kind of put it all together. And like I said, like I think I've tapped into a vein here, but I don't think I have all the answers yet. But I think we're definitely preserving and like slowing down, like showing the values of what used to be and what can once again be.
What's a story you want to cover here that you haven't had the chance to do yet? You can't get them to answer the phone, or what's that story?
So
And I can get Jimmy Dunn to answer the phone.
Yeah,
so that I will help
honestly,
you
I
with
don't
that.
think I have the right number for Jimmy because I call him so many times and I can't get the
He's
reply.
busy.
I'm a
He's
busy
busy.
man.
He's out shooting TV shows.
That number was 3 shows ago.
So you mean other than Kim or Jimmy? It's so it always has to be Boston based. It doesn't have to necessarily be someone that's here in Boston. And when
Thank you.
And when I say Boston, it's not and I say this with love, the arrogance of the city is we claim all of New England.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like
Right,
as long as
right.
it's something like New England based, it can
Right.
still be a cover or a story. But Dana White is someone that I obviously is that I've had some conversations
Yeah.
loosely, and that's something that
I'll call him for you.
potentially is potentially.
I'll call Dan to see what I can do.
And Joe Rogan's another one.
Oh, I know Joe very well. Joe and I used to do open mics together.
That's
Yeah.
We'll do
Right
that.
down the street here.
All these comics know
Right-
Joe
right
Rogan.
down the hill.
All these guys.
Joe Rogan.
All of you guys.
I mean,
know
it's-
him.
it's-
it's a
absolutely
fraternity.
fearless.
Yeah, it's a fraternity.
He
like,
was
for sure.
he was one of the most fearless comics in Boston, man, and he was too much for Boston.
Yeah.
Which is amazing
Yeah.
when you say that, but yeah, right down the street here at Stitches.
Mr. Monday, Carlo Caponegro, he's on my advisory board. He speaks highly of you, Jimmy.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it's another like that comic fraternity.
Yeah, yeah. With the comics, we have to take care
It
of
was the
each
Swamp
other.
Scott too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there
We
we
have
go.
to take care of the comics.
North Shore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, all those North Shore folks. Well, it's a beautiful magazine. You guys have. What I also love the idea that you do a bunch of charity things, which I think is important. If you want the community to get involved in your magazine, you got to get involved in the community. No two ways about that. Tell us about you got. I know you said 2 events coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And to kind of like just on the charity component, it's even if I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul to
Don't use
pay
the
for
word
this,
robbing. Don't use the word robbing. Not in this city.
Even if I'm borrowing from
Not Peter
Peter
or
to pay
Paul.
Paul,
The FBI's gonna come through the door. I knew they were robbing.
I will never take a dime from a charity for an ad, or like every single ad. And if you look at that magazine, half of the full page ads are in there are for nonprofit and charitable organizations. Like that's always donated. And it's I feel I can't necessarily write a check to every organization that I want to, but I could do far more with a story,
Sure.
an ad, the exposure on the platform.
Absolutely.
But
Which
a
is
couple
great.
of a couple of big ones that we have coming up. So October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Like
bet.
every month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but this is specifically October. My mother is a breast cancer survivor. My grandmother, she lived her life, but she succumbed to breast cancer after battling it in the towards the end of her life. And I'm on the board with the Miss Pink organization, which is run by Ashley Turner, formerly Ashley Heron, now Ashley
Yes.
Turner. And we have a big event with where we're working with Inertia Resources. They're the big sponsor for it, and it's going to be at Memoir on October 28th. So this is the first public announcement of it.
Very
gonna have,
fun.
We're going to have the ticket link and the flyer and everything going out.
Great.
In the next 48
Our
hours.
friends here at a big night, they like that idea.
Absolutely. And you actually you know Ashley well. You've been
I have. I've been a judge in the Miss Pink contest.
Yeah, with the Pink Warriors.
It's really terrific. It's a great experience.
So we're hoping, we're hoping to have some Pink Warriors
Great.
out. We're hoping to have you
Great.
guys there on
Yeah,
the 28th as well.
absolutely. That'd be terrific. And then also you have a big ball.
We do, yeah. So our signature event, it's Boston's Runway Ball. My business partner and co-producer on that is a woman named Amanda Vargas. She runs Wave and Woven Style House. And whatever that gene is that makes you batshit crazy also
got it.
makes you a creative genius. And she has that. So we were fighting a stigma going into last year's show, our first Runway Ball. And everyone was just like, no, this is how Boston does fashion. This is how you're supposed to do it. These are the people that are supposed. And she was just like, no, I have a vision. I have a vision. We were literally peeling ourselves off the floor, getting this thing wrapped up and produced towards the end. And when that first walk happened, my phone was blowing up. People were like, holy crap. Like, what is going on here? This is incredible. And it just combines, seamlessly combines levels of fashion with theater and music. And
So
just
fun.
the culture
So
pulling it
fun.
all in together.
You said that Vogue even commented about it.
Yeah,
No,
there was
you've
just
got-
like there was a
you've
loose
done something
comment.
right
There was a
with
loose
fashion.
comment floating around. I mean, there wasn't a story or anything,
Yeah.
but there was a comment saying, "Whoa, we didn't think Boston had this in them." And
That's
I don't know if that was a knock on us or a compliment or like or
Doesn't
a
matter.
combination of
Doesn't
the two.
Does not matter. This is the most recent edition.
It is, yep.
When was this one published?
So that came out on August 29th.
August 29.
We had a nice release event, not at a big night venue, at a Cavo, a Koji venue, but Koji and Big Night play in the same sandbox
There you
together
go.
sometimes.
Exactly.
And it was, it was a phenomenal event, phenomenal release. Tanya Nyack, the timing is perfect. She's just a tremendous soul, and her show on HGTV, Battle on the Beach, is the highest rated show on cable television.
What's
this
that,
summer.
cable?
Which,
Yeah, another thing that used to be popular.
Joking. I'm joking.
when will the next edition be out?
And how do I get on the cover of that?
So we're looking at a mid-November release. Currently
Mid-November.
putting it together.
All right.
Yep.
Have a bunch of the features locked in. Not necessarily the cover yet.
All right.
A couple.
Well, we
so-
could talk.
Yeah. So we're still.
I'm only
You
doing.
and I can both wear one of those hats. I
I'm
think we
only
can
doing
both
it
be
if
there.
Bob
We'll be
Bryant
back to
writes the
back.
story.
The magazine is beautiful.
Thank you.
We've had a lot of fun chatting about it, but the magazine is beautiful. Congratulations and continued success. I think it is fantastic to have local publications like this where you can read about local things, which is really cool. But it has a real national feel and look, and it's beautiful.
Thank you so much. I mean, I put my heart and soul, my guts into it, and
I get it.
It's not perfect, but we get better. We truly get better every issue.
Well, it's a beautiful magazine, so congratulations. You are listening to Kerrigan & Company.
North Shore Music Theater proudly presents Titanic the Musical. Winner of 5 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. A stirring show focusing on the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of the real people aboard the most legendary ship in the world. This all-new magnificent production of Titanic the Musical is on stage at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater from October 29th through November 10th only. Tickets at nsmt.org.
Don't miss America's oldest fair, the Topsfield Fair, October 4th through October 14th. See the full lineup of free shows and exhibits at topsfieldfair.org. Free concerts, fun, rides, and fantastic food, all at the Topsfield Fair.
Wouldn't it be great to have those full cheeks you had when you were younger, but not have to go through a major procedure to get them? Well, cheek fillers at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly are a non-surgical cosmetic procedure that can help enhance facial contours, restore lost volume, and improve facial symmetry. They're an effective way to rejuvenate the appearance of your face with minimal downtime. Sienna's experienced injectors can customize treatments to meet your goals. For a free consultation, set up an appointment at siennaesthetics.com. That's siennaesthetics.com. This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. All right, it's time to wrap up this edition of Kerrigan & Company, and boy, have we had a great show. And with me today has been Jimmy Dunn, keeping me company. Jimmy, thank you for your patience
Thanks for
being
having me.
here. This has been so much fun.
This is actually a really cool spot. I was making fun of it at the beginning, but I could sit here and watch the city of Boston go by all day.
Isn't it the
It's
truth?
Very, very cool.
Then we could just move upstairs for drinks.
Well,
and I
I-
mean, I don't know. This is
Yeah.
a pretty easy
I think there's
situation.
a game tonight. We could go up and watch the game.
This is it.
I
This
make a
is
couple
it.
calls. Maybe we get in a box and have some steak tips.
Come on, get the phone
I
out.
know a few people.
Hey, before you go, though, we do this thing. It's called the College Hype Fast 5.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions, and you need to answer them in 30 seconds.
Okay.
College Hype, making a difference one T-shirt at a time. Visit
Okay.
collegehype.com today. Are you ready, my friend?
So 30 seconds total?
30 seconds total.
Uh-oh. Okay.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, and 1. Your favorite female comedian?
Kelly McFarland.
Do you like stand-up, or would you rather be an actor?
Actor.
Ah, what's your go-to candy?
Candy. Oh, the Twizzlers.
Twizzlers.
I like Twizzlers.
It's my favorite too. Do you watch it live, or would you rather record it and watch it later?
Oh, you got to watch it live. You got to watch it live. Unless you watch it Frasier on Paramount Plus.
Best movie comedy of all time?
Of all time, Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. And finally, a little bonus question. What's your favorite sports team?
Right upstairs here. The Boston Bruins.
You are a Bruins guy. There's no. Why did I even ask you that? I don't even know why I would have asked you that. All right, tell everybody. They are going to watch this and they're going to say, "I got to go see this guy on stage." So,
Yeah.
what's some of the local shows where people can catch you?
Well, up on the North Shore, I'll be in Rockport, Massachusetts at the Shaylin Lou. Up in New Hampshire, I do a lot of shows. Any of the small theaters in New Hampshire, I'll perform at those. Down here at Boston, I work pretty regularly over at Laugh Boston
Great.
Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you go on jimmydunn.com, I also travel all over the country doing stand-up as well. So,
Fantastic.
And soon some more shows in Canada and England.
So you just took the words out of my mouth because I was going to ask you about that because this show, Frasier, is so popular
Yeah.
that it is really, really made a name for you in some of these other locations, which is fantastic.
It's certainly opening some doors in some clubs that I've been trying to get into for many years, and it's great. I heard that it does big numbers in Canada, the show, and I've never performed in England, so I'm going to try and make that happen too.
It's so great.
Yeah.
When will you know about season 3?
Oh, I'll know when you know, whenever they announce it, and we'll find out. But I have a good feeling this is going to go for a while, and if look, if it doesn't, the episode that just came out last week that I got to do, where it was mostly me and Kelsey, if that's the last thing I ever do in Hollywood, I'll be cool with that. But
Yeah.
I think this is going to go for a while.
True. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So good to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You've
I'm
married-
right at home here.
By the way, his wife is here. You've married up.
Oh yes, I did. There's no question about that.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today. And be sure you follow us on social. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan and Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan and Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan and Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley, and our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.